Hey, what's up everyone? Paul from Grindhouse Funhouse. One of the many joys of the Fantasia Film Festival, besides a slew of brand new and retro movies you get to watch, are these special events going on at the same time. Being Q&As after a movie with the actors and director, book launches, live podcast recordings. A few years back we had a tour of horror movie filming location that was pretty dope. And then there's all the awards they give out each year. One in particular I attended was happening at the Cinémathèque Québécoise on a beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon, as we were there to honor Dunning and André Link, the founders of Cinépix, known today as Lionsgate Films, Canada's first commercial film studio whose headquarters was right here in Montreal. Dunning said it best when they heard themselves described as...
They called us the Roger Cormans of Canada. And it's a bit true because a lot of the major actors came through the Corman studios in low-budget filmmaking.
And that's exactly who they were. Just to give you a quick backstory, Cinépix was founded back in 1962 as a film distribution company, and starting in 1969 until 1998, they produced close to 60 movies. And that's not even counting all the movies they distributed to be shown on Canadian screens. It started with Valérie, a movie directed by French-Québécois director Denis-Héroux, which the Career Award given to Cinépix was named after him, and that's a nice full circle moment right there. That movie started a short-lived Canadian film genre known as maple syrup porn. That wasn't that porny, just risque for its time, and if you're curious to see what those movies were like, I'll link a trailer playlist in the description below. They also helped a little-known talent at the time by the name of David Cronenberg, which Cinépix funded his first movie Shivers and then Rabid. That's where my man Bill Murray got his start in movies with Meatballs, and Ivan Reitman got his first taste of success directing a comedy. What about two Canadian horror movie classics with Happy Birthday to Me and the beloved My Bloody Valentine? They produced those too. Hell, they even gave us the still pretty fucked up Nazi-exploitation Ilsa trilogy. Nothing was really off limits for Cinépix at the time. All this to say, they made a huge impression on the Canadian film industry and were the bedrock of us making our own genre movies, and some of them actually being commercially successful. So it was a privilege for me, and I'm sure everyone else who was in the audience that day, which by the way was before a screening of 1989's Snake Eater, starring Lorenzo Lamas at his manliest prime, showing us the French dubbed version no less, to be there and seeing André Link and Greg Dunning on behalf of his father, who sadly passed away back in 2011, there to receive their award. A piece of news we found out during the presentation was that a documentary is currently in production. So I, for one, cannot wait to watch it and certainly review it when the time comes and spread the good word. I got an added bonus to all of this is that while working on this video, I went into full list mode, which means for you that I created a playlist on here with almost all the trailers from the Cinépix Filmography. So if you were ever curious to know what those Cinépix movies were about, you got a fun few watching hours ahead of you. I also created a list on Letterboxd that can be quite useful, as you'll be able to keep track of what you've seen and what you'll want to see. And if you still haven't given me a follow on there, well, now's your time, ain't it? Alright, so without further ado, here's the Denis-Héroux Career Award given to Greg Dunning, John Dunning's son, and André Link, founders of Cinépix.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really proud. I couldn't be prouder today to give the Denis-Héroux Award, which is this beautiful Black Horse Trophy, to two of them. They're not just the architect, they are the father of genre film in Canada. They are the Roger Corman of Canada. And better, they are who they are, André Link and Greg Dunning. John Dunning couldn't be here, but Greg Dunning is here to receive the prize in the award. I'm sorry, I'm French-Canadian. The award on the behalf of his father. These guys have produced almost 60 films, and most of them made money, and many of them, you know them, you've seen them. You may not even know that they were Cinépix productions, but it changed the face of Canadian movies. Before them, there was UNF, they were documentary, they were about simple people, and these guys arrived with the idea of let's make American films, but in Quebec. and that talks about Quebec preoccupation. Valérie is not just Valérie. Valérie is the province of Quebec. She's running away from a non-institution, and she's on a bridge with no bra and her Quebec shirt. And Valérie is really the story of Quebec emancipating herself from the church, from the system. And these guys are rebels. These guys are maverick. And that's why I'm so proud, ladies and gentlemen, to give to Cinépix and to give to Greg Dunning and to André Link the Denis-Héroux Award, ladies and gentlemen. Please, make noise.
Theater, and particularly proud of Cinémathèque Québécoise. And I hope that we'll be continuing its work and help the young talent that is emerging. And there are people now that have international recognition. And it's heartwarming to see the recognition of, and especially for John, for all he has done. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here on behalf of my father, but I'll tell you one thing. Trudy's here. That's Andre's wife right there. And these two guys don't get to do what they do unless they have wives behind them. I'm telling you. My mother's still alive, but there's no way I could have got her here with her bad knee. She's got to get a knee replacement. She's going to bust 100 really easily. So I'm trying to convince her to do it, and she's starting to get into the mood of like getting a knee replacement at 93. Anyway, it's too bad she's not here because she would be amazed as my father would be. You would have got me anyway up here because there's no way he would have come up here with his stage fright. He was a behind the scenes, behind the camera guy. He was in the editing suite helping the directors, edit their films. He was working on scripts, and he was solving problems when actors would act up and get drunk on the set. He'd come down and save the thing. So he'd be amazed, he'd be flattered, and he'd be really anxious to have to come up here and do this. But he would be really, really surprised. He'd be really happy to see all of you sitting in your seats, all these people in here, because in my mind, all he really cared about was making stories that people wanted to see. And when Andre and John would always go to the premieres and pray to God that people showed up. For the most part, they did, and they had great success, and they were able to make 59 films because they had that success. Sometimes the government was involved. Sometimes, most of the time, the government wasn't involved with the financing. But to make 59 films in Canada, it's pretty remarkable. It's really to me, it's the first studio in the country, and amazing. And my dad would just be really, honored that you remember him. That's all, because that's all he wanted to be, was remembered for his work and to have success entertaining people. We should watch a film.
I just want to add to it. At one point, when Valerie was playing, it raised some criticism because it was a daring film, and there was a writer whose name I forgot, just partially remember, Fulford, and
Robert Fulford.
Yes.
Yep.
And he wrote an article and said, if telefilm is, the government of Canada is subsidizing a film like that, they might as well open bordellos. So some people didn't like us.
if I may add something about Telefilm, I worked there for 13 years, and I used to work in the department that used to collect the money. And the one thing I can tell you that Cinépix used to do is that, like, Telefilm used to talk about recoupment. Recoupment's a fancy film word for how much money the film gives back to the producers or whoever, the investors. And the difference between Cinépix and the rest of the world that got money from Telefilm is that Cinépix made profit for Telefilm. All of it. I can tell you, because I haven't worked there in like 10 years, but I used to work in that department, and the checks for Meatballs continue to come in today. They're still rolling in. I think it's Paramount has to pay Telefilm 1.5% of the Telefilm investment, and it just keeps rolling in. It is so far in profit. All of films that Cinépix had support from Telefilm were in profit. The rest of the world was in recoupment.
Money?
At Telefilm they did.
Telefilm.
Yeah, you had some failures. You did, but not at Telefilm.
We produced about, I don't have the exact number, 70 films for our career. And amongst their first starters, Ivan Reitman was one of them, and what's his name? Cronenberg. And we had a great, and John was responsible for really getting talent and correcting them in a way that was friendly. I must say that I was much rougher because I had to speak to their agents and their stars, but John was a very, very good mentor. And I really had wonderful memories of him. I wish he was here, and he would have enjoyed that immensely. And thank you for coming. I never thought that so many people would show up
For Snake Eater.
And also, last but not least, I'd like to also pay tribute to Greg Dunning, not only because he wrote a book about his dad and told us about all those wonderful stories that would have disappeared without him putting them in paper, but he's been honoring the work of his dad, giving John Dunning Awards in many festivals, and starting next year, we will have a John Dunning Award here at Fantasia, thanks to Greg and his Cinépix Foundation. So this award will be given to a young emerging filmmaker to encourage him to make more films. So there will be a sum of money given to this filmmaker, and this award will start officially next year. And now my promise to you is this: as long as we have a John Dunning Award at Fantasia, I'll keep showing you Cinépix movie year after year after year. Year after year. That's the deal we made. We give money to short films. And I believe I've shown 15, so I still have 45 to show. So there's time. We got some time left to have fun. Ladies and gentlemen, André cannot stay, but I'm so happy that you guys all turned out to be here today and to celebrate these two gentlemen, these two Renaissance men. Thank you so much, everybody. Woo!